let's do it. Guys, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome to the new Batcave and Avengers Tower, everybody. Welcome home.
Kevin, man, we've got so much to talk about. A lot of exciting stuff, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of just between you and me stuff. But we've agreed we're gonna review Wanda Vision, the last episode of Wanda Vision. And I have been dying to get your thoughts on this. So you watched it? What do you think?
Do you remember what I said a couple of weeks ago when I said it was an interesting show, but it wasn't perfect?
Yeah.
That's my follow-up to what they did last Friday.
Yeah.
I don't hate the show. I still think the production line is strong, but it's strong in a certain context. I know this is an odd place to start with the review itself, but when they showed Wanda, Pietro, and Vision in those costumes, I was disappointed from that point on. I didn't mind, and I liked the idea that they put them in the traditional costumes, but they made them too Halloweenish to me. They were too kiddish. I wanted more detail in their costumes. All three of them look decent with going back to the original look. It just didn't have enough detail in it to me. And story-wise, I honestly thought the story was muddied. It was, I understand what they're doing, and I give Marvel their complete props. Because for the most part, they've succeeded. They've had some stumbles, and they've had some falls. But I have to give you back your props, and again, bow to your wisdom, because you said yourself that a lot of what they're doing, fans may be giving them a pass because it's Marvel. And after that last episode, I kind of realized I think I'm doing the same doggone thing. And I, like I said, I know the costuming thing, I'm picking on it, but they really went too much within the kid line, and not enough of the story was explained to me. I'm not saying you have to lay out every line, but I wanted more from it than what we have. And I as I've said from weeks ago, months ago, I realized that they're setting everybody up for Doctor Strange 2, but I'm beginning to worry about how they are tying this together, because this portion of it is really a mud bath. It's all over the place.
That's why I love you, man. That is why I love you. And that's why I think you're brilliant. Because it's the ability to recognize what's in front of you that makes the key. And you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more. And you nailed it on the head. So let me start where you started, because it's a pet peeve of mine, the costumes. You lost me right then and there with the costumes. And the reason you lost me is because you took how horrible, silly, ridiculous are these costumes, and how horrible, silly, and ridiculous are the people who love these costumes. That's the way they presented it. So you're doing Vision, but you're doing it in a Halloweenish way. You're putting gym shorts on Vision. You're taking Quicksilver and you're doing it in a Hallowish. And not only do you do that, not only do you disrespect the original design by making it silly, but you make a point to tell people how silly and ridiculous it is.
Are you old Red Riding Hood?
I'm a Sokovian fortune teller.
That is so
Rad!
lame.
Lame.
Worse than the costumes Mom made us the year we got typhus.
It's not exactly how...
Traffic light. Half-shuck corn. A booger.
Yes. You have fun tonight, darling?
But no, that's not what you're supposed to.
What?
You're insulting me. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And it goes back to what you said earlier, which is we as Marvel people, sometimes we give a pass because we're supposed to, right? We're supposed to love Marvel and everybody jumps on board. Kevin Feige is genius and everybody jumps on board. And no, everything should be judged individually and critiqued fairly and objectively. And as such, never mind the fact that you insulted me and put down the original costumes and put down my love of those costumes and of those designs. But let's talk about the show itself. Again, you're absolutely right. It was very, very muddled. It was very, very weak and poor. What it is the production value, which is, again, I'm repeating what you're saying. The production value of these shows is great. It's backed by Disney. It has the best special effects you can find. It has, good actors and so on and so forth. The production value is high. But when you get beyond the production value, just the look and the quality of the special effects, once you get beyond that, I hate to say this, but it's not too much better than Batwoman. It really isn't. Some of the acting performances were, in my opinion, weak, like very weak, like Batwoman-ish weak.
Take her out, this whole nightmare ends. We just surrender to that?
We can't outgun her.
All you people who left still have the luxury of optimism.
You have no idea what it was like, what it took to keep the lights on.
He's up to something.
I hate to say it. Listen, it's a difficult thing to critique. And we can't take it for granted because these are people who put their lives, they put everything into their work. And to say, oh, that wasn't good enough is very hurtful and very, very insulting. And I don't know how to do that except to say that this is not a show that anybody has a large audience. So I'm sure they're not going to see it, and it's not going to affect them. But I'll speak generally speaking. And sometimes it's not even the fault of the actor. Sometimes it's not even a reflection on the actor. Sometimes it's the whole thing that comes together. The director, the cinematography, you name it. But whatever the reason, whatever the cause, in my opinion, some of the performances, not all of them, but some of the performances are weak. What I mean by that is that they're poor. Acting is a fascinating thing. And I consider myself an actor. I've never acted in anything, but I grew up wanting to be an actor. My father's an actor. I think it's in my blood, and I'm just waiting for my opportunity to do something. But I've actually never done it. But it's a fascinating thing because when I look at it, I realize how little I know of the craft. Sometimes you think you can do something, but you don't actually know what the craft is. And an actor may walk into a scene and do a performance and they do it technically right, but it just doesn't work. There's something about it that is not believable. And a good actor, it's not technique necessarily, but for whatever reason, they come in and they do that same scene and it's believable. It has greater gravitas. I don't know what that difference is. I really don't, but I can recognize it when I see it. And I can tell you that some of the performances, from the kids to the Monica Rambeau, to the Asian dude that's with her, to Caddy, whatever, and I forget her name. It's just not working for me.
Why didn't anyone tell me the plan?
And it's to the level of some of the Batwoman performances. It's just not working for me. And the plot, the storyline, there's so many plot holes. There's so many, little things like if Wanda's controlling the people and when she's not aware of them, they're not moving. They're just kind of standing there. Oh, do they eat? Do they go to the bathroom? What's happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
there's a lot of problems with the show. And I concluded with the last episode that I'm not on board. I don't like the show. I don't hate it. Hating is a big, big thing. I don't hate it. I'm not asking for it to be canceled or anything like that, but I don't like it. I don't jive with it. Sorry, I've said a lot, but yeah, it's not impressing me at all.
Are you going to finish it out, or are you tearing away from it?
Oh no, I'm finishing it out. No, for sure, I'm finishing it out. Again, I don't hate it to that extent, and it's holding that carrot over me of we're gonna deliver something. It's going to yield something at the end. So I'm there, and also from a critique point of view, I'm there. I'm watching it. But my honest opinion is, I wanted to watch the show. I wanted to like the show. I'm a Marvel guy. I love Wanda Vision. I'm on board, but you can't just take advantage of me and just because I'm on board, feed me whatever you want to feed me, and I'm supposed to accept it. I think we have to maintain our objectivity, and yeah, objectively speaking, from what I've seen so far, the show has been a very, very high disappointment for me. There's nothing about it that I find captivating, interesting, or good, to be honest with you.
It's if I may add one more thing before we move on, and maybe this is because I do editing and what have you myself, I don't know, and I'm not patting myself on the back for this, but there are a couple of things that I noticed about the way that last episode was cut together. During the trailers and commercials that they had for Wanda Vision itself, not just that episode, but a lot of them either included or concluded with the scene where Vision addresses Agnes at the car.
Yes.
And he says to her, "Am I dead?" And what they ended up doing with the other material was, she says, "No, but you are." The thing is, that's not cut that way together in that show, Franz. Did you notice that?
No, tell me more.
When she's talking to him and when he's conversing with her, he ends up saying, "Are you dead?" And they cut right to another portion of the conversation. She never comes back at him with the line that they had put in the trailers and what have you. "No, but you are." It's not there. And I was looking for that response. I wanted that response.
Wait, so let me just clarify, because that scene struck out to me too, but from a different point of view. But I could swear, and your memory is usually better than mine, but I could swear I remember her saying, "But you are," and in fact she said it over and over again. "But you are, you are, you are," and then it was supposed to be a spooky scene, and he touches her and she goes back to. Am I misremembering? I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Am I dead?
Why would you think that?
Because you are.
Dead! Dead! Dead!
No one leaves. Wanda won't even let us think about it.
All is lost. Okie dokie, neighbor.
I may have to go back and look at it. I just don't remember her saying flat out. I remember her kind of glitching and getting stuck, but I don't remember her giving him back the response of "you are."
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. In fact, I kind of reviewed it, before we started the show, and I'm pretty sure she said that.
Okay.
And what I noticed about that scene, it struck me because that scene was another example, in my opinion, of the show not really having the quality that it's pretending to have, which is to say, that scene was trying to be spooky. It was trying to be deep and mysterious, something weird is going on. And in my opinion, it failed. And maybe it failed so much, you don't even remember her saying, "But you are, but you are, but you are." But that's essentially what I recall happening, which is her saying, "But you are dead." And he was like, "What?" And, "But you are, but you are." Or maybe she said, "You're dead," something like that. But she repeated it over, and then he touched her forehead, which, by the way, why does he have the ability to touch her forehead and either turn her off or turn her on?
I've wondered about that ever since they did it. Where is he getting that from?
Exactly. So a lot of these little things just don't add up. And a lot of these little things don't make sense. And a lot of these little things, is poor delivery of a material. And what happens is we jump on board and we eat the whatever they feed us, but not this show, man. Sorry.
Like I said, I'm gonna finish it out. What I'm more curious about is this a one-time shot from Marvel and Disney? Is this going to continue into a second wave or a second season?
I can't imagine it continuing. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I can't imagine it continuing because the premise they're setting up isn't a premise that can be continued. Because anyway.
No, I understand. But and one other thing that I wanted to ask you about, and this is creatively and story-wise, how do you feel about the fact that even though there was that much of a confrontation or an argument between Wanda and Vision, how do you feel about the fact that he really has not confronted her about what's going on? That's one of those hanging story chads that they've just left out there.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I have a problem with it. He has not said to her, what in the name of howdy doody is going on here? He hasn't done it. It's so like, why? That doesn't make sense. And I wanted your take on that. Where's the story arc for that?
Brilliant. Again, that's why I love you, man, because that's exactly right. These are the kind of things that they're getting away with. You're absolutely right. It doesn't make sense at all, because the moment Vision realizes there's something wrong here. Well, first of all, any human being would be, would be engaged in that thought, like, what the hell's going on? And the first person you would ask is Wanda, and her answers had better made sense. But more than that, more than a human being, Vision is a computer android synthezoid. Mm-hmm. So naturally, the stuff that were happening should not have been acceptable to him at all. The children going from babies to teenagers, it should never have computed to a guy like Vision. It should have never made sense. Now, maybe the argument is she is manipulating him, and well, if she is, then how come he's recognizing some of the faults? So there's a lot of such flaws that make it not work to me. And I hate to reiterate it, but what they did with the costumes was so demeaning. It's so insulting to me. And you know what's fascinating, Kevin? And I think you feel the same way. And I want to get your take on this. I don't know if you felt the same way, but even the cheesy, horrible presentation of it, I was still like, damn, I like to see the costumes. Like Wanda, what it showed is that you couldn't be in that quote unquote ridiculous outfit and still do a scene, and we forget that you're in a quote unquote ridiculous outfit, and so in a way it shows you that it can work if you just treated it with a little modicum of respect. That's why I hated, by the way, Captain America, the first Avenger, the first Captain America movie. It's because you take the original costume and you present it in the worst way possible. Like, you work hard to make it look bad.
Right.
You take the Vision costume and you work to make it look bad. You take Quicksilver and you make it look bad. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, in other words, it's not just that the costume is bad. It's not just that you're not putting in the millions of dollars to do a quality costume. Yes. No, it's like, how can we ruin this? And so let's give him gym shorts. Like, bro, you know what I mean? It's just really, really, really upsetting to me.
And I couldn't agree with you more. And part of the reason why I couldn't agree more is, if Wanda is indeed controlling all of this, although I still think there's somebody off on the sideline, and I truly do. If she's controlling all of this, and I understand the cheesy Halloween bit, I get it, because that's what they were going for. But if her magic and her powers are what are behind this, then why not allow her to kind of do let me snap my fingers and put us in reasonable costumes, even if they are somewhat cheesy representations of what they should be. I mean, not to sound silly, Elizabeth Olsen does have a little bit of a figure to fill that costume out. You kind of saw that when she came down the steps. They didn't even take time to build on that. If you understand, I'm not trying to sound silly or weird.
No,
but
no.
not take time to even build on that. And that was part of where it was sort of like, okay, the costume, with the exception of one portion of it, doesn't even fit her right.
Yeah.
It was as bad as what they ended up doing with Vision with the sneakers and the gym shorts. It was sort of like, why would you put her in a costume that does not work for her female form?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I get 100% what you're saying.
I mean, that's how they could have gotten away with saying, as you're indicating, let's give them better costumes, because they could have even played on that where the two of them were in front of a fitting mirror and they had on the cheesy outfits, okay? And she looks at the mirror and goes, no, I don't like this. And they could have done the Bewitched bit or anything else like it, like I Dream of Jeannie or anything else that you wanted, where she could have kept snapping her fingers and changing everything until she was satisfied with the final look. That actually would have been somewhat entertaining.
That would have been great. Let me ask you a question along those lines. Again, we as fans have to be very careful, man. And we have to keep our eyes open when we're being insulted. And we have to make the decision whether or not we're either fans of the material or we're not. Too many of us are ashamed of the material that we're supposed to be fanatics about, okay? I'm a fan of the comic books, and I'm proud of that. I don't care who you are. That's what I like, and that's it. So let me ask you a question. Why didn't they give us that Easter egg? Why didn't they give us that nugget? This would have been the perfect opportunity, as you said, to do the comic costume. The comic book costume, and bring it to life. Like, it's not good enough for the movies, okay, or whatever. I disagree, but whatever. It's not good enough to be done on the TV shows. I disagree, whatever. But now you're going to incorporate that costume into a storyline. Why not give it to me the best you can? It's the same thing with Iron Man. I love Iron Man. I love Jon Favreau. I love what they did. But I'm like, dude, I get it that you don't want to use the original 70s classic Iron Man design, but can you just put it in one of the Hall of Armors and just blow my mind? Just give me that little nugget. And you're right. If Wanda had looked at the costume and said, wow, this is, come on, Vision, we can do better than this. And then snapped her fingers and made him the Vision, and had that contrast of yellow and green, that color scheme as it was in the show, had the cowl and the cape done at a high quality level, and the boots. Dude, that would, I don't know about you, it would have blown me away.
I would have felt better about the show, yes.
Oh my God. Listen, that alone would have changed it, because part of my dislike of the show is this insulting thing. And while I would still have recognized that the show's not that good, I would have said, hey, I'm watching it just to see those characters, just to see those costumes. I would have, because that's what I'm interested in. That's what the genre is. Let's not pretend anything else. We don't need to pretend that superheroes are graphic novels and it's supposed to be also. No, it's superheroes. That's what it is. It is what it is. And so I would have watched it just for that.
Yes.
And it's incredibly insulting that they would not only not give you that, but then, as I said, go out of their way to humiliate it, to make it look bad, to give, listen, oh God, it's crazy, man.
I'm gonna say one more thing about this, and then if you want to, we can move on.
Okay.
To your point about the insult, what adds insult to injury is that during the entire advertising campaign about this series about this show. They kept showing one major clip, and that was her in the original costume.
Yeah.
That's what helped bait people into it. It was,
I know.
oh man, are they going to put her in the outfit? It didn't even, at one point, it didn't even have anything to do with seeing Vision in it. It was just the idea of, you saw her, and even with that semi close up of, they're going to put her in the outfit. And then, as you say, to drop the ball, and this is the final result. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys. You're absolutely right. Part of my interest, and I would have watched it one way or the other, but part of my interest in this show was those teaser trailers showing Wanda. And I've been looking forward to seeing that. And me, and along with a million other people, why not give us that nugget? I've never understood it. It's never made any sense to me. It's the same thing with Wolverine. They know the fans want to see Wolverine in his costumes. They know it so much they add that stupid, a suitcase costume and a suitcase thing in a scene. Why are you holding out on something that you know will have positive results?
I know it.
The answer is, and again, I'll say this again, I've said it in many of the shows, the answer is they, and I have to say, we the fans, have a disdain for the material. We think it's embarrassing. We think it's silly. We think it's not presentable to a normal, intelligent person. And too many of us are like, look, I'm embarrassed by this. Don't even go there and give me the armored version or the so-called adult version. They have a disdain for the material, and that's why they don't even entertain giving us what we know we want. The problem with that theory is that it's been proven over and over and over again that it's wrong. It's been proven that when you do the costumes well, the original designs, when you do them well, they are not only accepted, they're beloved. They're beloved. Because I hate to tell you, Christopher Reeves is still more Superman than, what's his name? He's still more Superman. And the icons of the Superman lexicon, if that's Henry Cavill, if it ends there for Henry Cavill, 100 years from now, Christopher Reeves will be more Superman than he is. I love Cavill Superman. In fact, I love Christopher Reeves, but I think Cavill does a better Superman. That's not the point. The point is that costume is still more iconic, bro. So like, why it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. And then, as you said, to add insult to injury, forgive me, but to add insult to injury and to insult us. But not only did they do it bad, but they kept repeating over and over, oh, these costumes are silly. You look horrible. Really?
You know what makes it worse? Even with everything you just said, and you could not be more on target. You certainly couldn't be. But what's actually insulting from the other side of the coin is that the same audience that says, oh, we don't want to see these on screen, we accept them in the animated shows and in the comic books.
I know.
That's the part of it that doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Now, I am a firm believer of there's certain things that you can do on a page, art-wise and what have you, that when you try to transfer them into a real-time environment, some of that stuff, and I'm not just talking about costumes, I'm talking about even some of the settings. Some of the settings, some of the costumes, some of the setups have to be changed in order for this material to fit into a 3D environment, a real world environment. But it gets to me because I've seen people, even with cosplay, look better than what Marvel and Disney gave us last week with that Halloween episode.
1,000 times better. And by the way, of course you're right. Of course, you're right. Anytime you're translating a material, there's going to be changes. And of course, you have to accommodate between different genres, different mediums, and things like that. Of course, some of the things that work in the comic books are not going to work in the cinematic verse.
Right.
Of course, some of the costumes have to be tweaked and changed and so on and so forth to be a little bit more authentic and more presentable and more realistic. Of course, we recognize the difference between a quality representation of a costume and a poor representation of that same costume. Of course, we recognize that some costumes don't work, period. They don't work in the comic books, and they would never work in any other scenario because they don't even work in the comic books.
Right.
Yes, we know that. We know all those things. You know, what's interesting is that the superhero costume, right, within the comic book industry can be done horribly to look silly, or a different artist could make that same costume look really, really cool, look really, really workable. And so it's the same type of thing. We're not talking about cosplay. Don't put even though cosplay is better than that, what they did in the Vision stuff, Wanda Vision, way better, like 1,000 times better. But even that's not the quality that you and I are talking about. You take that original design and you put some effort and some technology behind it, and you deliver that original design in a way that's better than the cosplay people, and it works like a charm. It works like fantastic. It's been done, and it would work just the same way. We're not talking about presenting a cheesy material to the cinematic verse. Nobody's talking about that. But we are so disgusted by it that we don't even believe that, and we don't even want to try it, you know? And it drives me nuts, man. It drives me absolutely nuts. And you know, the truth is, last thing I'll say about this, look, when you look at the Vision, for example, and when he transforms from that bad costume to his real costume, to his actual self.
Right.
So if you take that same quality of presentation and you just tweaked it and just made the colors more authentic, and you gave him the cowl, and if you just made I would like it better.
It would be, yeah. It would be so on target, it wouldn't even be funny.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Hey, look! It's Spider-Man!
The dynamic duo return next week. Don't miss it.